everybody. This is Saline County Hardliners back at you again. And we're going to talk a little bit about some problems we got in this state right now. And we got a couple of everybody knows Colonel Conrad Reynolds, I believe. He has AVII, which is Arkansas Voter Integrity Initiative. And he's done a lot of work, actually nationwide, also here in the state, of trying to change the paper ballots and get our elections more secure, or get them secure. And he has had nothing but pushback. And recently, unfortunately, in Independence County, they passed to have a voter paper ballots. And he actually was arrested and been accused of electioneering and exit polling from a year ago. To me, is very strange at the November election of 2024. This is, lawfare has been going on since 2020. You can look at Trump; they've been after him. You got Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro. They're just going after anybody that's conservative. They're going after anybody that wants paper ballots. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to talk about it. They're adamant about it. And we're wondering why that is, because they're more adamant about that than any other issue I know of. And I blame the RPA. Has been up to no good. I've seen that with my own eyes, where they have just ignored what the people want. So we're going to visit with Conrad and see his situation. We also got Will Huff, who works for Conrad as a media consultant. And Conrad is the 29-year veteran. I call it 06 Bird Colonel, who is fixing to be, or has already, he can tell me when, going to be in the Military Veterans Hall of Fame in Arkansas. And so they're just picking at him, in my opinion. They're just picking, and they just want to smear his name. And I don't think they're going to be successful with it. They think they know what they're doing, and they do not. Tim Griffith, Attorney General's after him. I'll tell you, the Governor Sanders is after him. The RPA's after him. And but he's got a lot of backing, and we're just going to talk to what's going on now. We're going to discuss this problem, this bad problem we got in our nation that has ascended onto our state now. So, Conrad, Colonel, great to have you. Will?
Well, thank you.
Great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Tell us, what the heck are they trying to do to you?
Well, it is, you pretty much captured it at the very beginning. The overall picture here is that ever since we started trying to fix our election system and go to a more secure hand-marked paper ballot that's hand-counted, which, by the way, is the gold standard by every professional that we've spoken with, they don't want to do it. They want to keep machines, and they are fighting tooth and nail. And what makes my situation unique here is we're in a solid red state. And you would expect this from Democrats against Republicans. But what has shocked everybody is that it's happening in Arkansas. And the news coverage about Arkansas is that we're solid red, very conservative, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Everything is just, roses here, and that there are no problems. But you and I both know, and anybody who's been watching what's happened with the RPA here in Arkansas and the things that have been going on, you know that that's not true. And so we started this journey in 2022. And as we started moving, every action that we took, every way we looked at trying to fix our system was being blocked by the Republicans. It's really mind-numbing. And I would like to quickly give you a kind of an idea of what we wanted to do was get some laws passed with the legislature. That was the very first thing. To get some laws passed with the legislature to get rid of the machines and go to paper ballots. Major pushback. We're talking in the end of 2022, we started trying to talk to people about having legislation that would fix this problem. But we were getting major pushback. So then we thought, well, maybe we should go to a statewide referendum. Okay, change the Constitution. And we knew that the people of Arkansas don't trust the machines, that they want paper ballots. How do we know that? Rasmussen did a poll in October 2022, which said absolutely 100%, 63% of everybody want paper ballots. So we tried to get that done, and then we got stopped by the Attorney General's office. So they stopped us, basically saying the title was wrong, the title was misleading, all the BS. And so we sued, didn't win on that. So we said, okay, we're not going to have enough time. What's another way? The other way in Arkansas is you can go to the quorum courts of each county, and the quorum court can pass a resolution. And the resolution, if you got a majority of the JPs, they say, hey, we want a paper ballot. That's it. They're paper ballot county. So we worked on that and tried our best. We had several counties lined up, ready to go. Cleveland County actually passed it in January 2023. They said, yeah, we want to do it. We had other counties calling us. Then all of a sudden, Kim Hammer and David Ray started rewriting laws in January. As soon as Cleveland County passed it, they wrote laws to punish the counties. And then they started putting pressure through the AAC to the county people there in Cleveland County. It's no surprise that they reversed themselves, okay, and then said, no, then we're not going to do it. Too much political heat was coming down on them. So the other counties, one by one, said, we want it, but it's just too much political heat. So we said, okay, well, then what's the other way? Well, then we found out that we could do it by a county resolution. That is something that the state legislature never thought about, that there was the counties could do it. We don't have to do a statewide referendum. We could do it county by county. So the people in these counties that we knew wanted it, we reached out to them, said, hey, if you need our help, we would be glad to help you. They said, absolutely. So we got a bunch of people in these counties to want to go get signatures. And the rules were different than for a statewide referendum. That was something that the legislatures had simply overlooked. They didn't know that. And that the restrictions for a statewide don't apply to the county. And they didn't realize that. And so we took advantage of that. We got people to come here and help us because it was hot, But anyway, the whole point is that out of that, they started going after the petitions that were turned in. There in Saline County, we had enough signatures. Not one signature in all of the 9 counties that did this, I think it was 9, all of them, not one signature was ever questioned to be fraudulent. So all the signatures came from the citizens of those counties, every one of them. What they said was they tried to attack the signature gathering process. And so who led that effort? Tim Griffin and David Ray. They used the JPRC, the Joint Performance Review Committee, to go after the people that actually got the signatures. And they said, oh, there's something illegal, something nefarious, complete hogwash. They could have gotten it all cleared up by doing one thing. And they could have simply called me, but they didn't call me at all. So but they didn't want that. What they wanted to do was make a big deal out of it to make it look illegal. So they essentially stopped our effort. However, Independence County was able to get enough signatures by the people that were there organically. They had a huge team led by Brian Norris, who, by the way, is running for Secretary of State. Brian Norris led that team, and it was an incredible job. And they got enough signatures in order to be able to get it on the ballot to be voted on. And let me tell you, they were the first county in the country that we know of, the first county to be able to vote on how they wanted their future elections to be conducted, either machined or by paper ballot. So that was the election in November of last year. But before I go into that, I want to go back, and I left out one other thing. When we were going county to county and for the quorum court, the one county out of all the counties, the one county that said, we're not going to listen to Little Rock was Searcy County. Searcy County, in August of 2023, they did their own study, whether it was cheaper or not. They found out paper ballots would be cheaper. They did a town hall. They brought, I don't know how many people came to their town hall, and they got the pro and con, both sides looked at it. The town hall, the people voted on it, wanted it. So then they took their whole product, the committee took their whole product to the quorum court, briefed it, and the quorum court passed it. But before they passed it, they got all kinds of threats from the AAC for saying, if you do this, if you go to paper ballots, we're not going to help you write any grants for bridges. We're not going to help you write any grants for roads. You're going to be on your own, right? That's what they basically told them, threatening them. And the JP said, with all of these threats, something's wrong here. Why would they care how our little dinky county of 5,000 people vote? And if it's going to save us money, why are they doing that? Well, they told them, oh, it's going to bankrupt your county, and you're never going to be able to get an accurate count. You're the laughing stock of Arkansas. That's what they told the Searcy County people. And they go, well, our people want it, so we're going to do it, the election commissioners, but we do need help, Mr. Secretary of State. You know what they were told? No, you're on your own. We're not going to help you. We're not going to do anything. But those three commissioners are the greatest people you'll ever meet. And they said, no, we're going to get a good election. Without the help of the Secretary of State, we're going to do it ourselves. They tried to learn everything they could in order to be able to put on a good election. They did the primary of March of 2024, and they did the November election. But in the one in March, just so you know, they had a couple of minor mistakes. But there were representatives from the State Board of Election Commissioners that were overseeing their election. Do you think they stepped in to help them? No. They said, you're doing a great job. Everything looks great. Nothing. Meanwhile, they're writing down every infraction, potential infraction, that way they could call them and rake them over the coals. And that's what they did in the summer.
Yeah.
They brought them in and they tried to make them look like idiots. They tried to go after them. Then they told them, if you make a mistake in the November election of 2024, we're going to come after you. That's basically what they said. If you're still using paper ballots, we're going to come after you. So those three people, wonderful, wonderful people, just said, we're going to make it right. We're going to have the best election ever. And remember who led the JPRC? That's Kim Hammer. Kim Hammer's the one that was.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so he was after them. So they did a perfect election in November. They saved money. Of course, no, you can imagine they were audited, right? 100% hand count, 100% accuracy on their hand count. So they couldn't punish them for anything. So they made up stuff. And they said, well, you got these cameras and these TVs, right? And you paid too less for them. You didn't pay enough money for them. So we're going to kick you out for 14 years. That's exactly what they told them. They said, we think you should have spent more money. Therefore, we're going to kick you out, ban you for 14 years, these three commissioners. And immediately they put it in the paper. They tried to tarnish them before they ever got their story out, before they ever did. And that's what Kim Hammer and the State Board of Election Commissioners, both groups are going after anybody that has a paper ballot. Now let's go to the Independence County. In Independence County, we knew that it was going to pass. We felt very comfortable that it was going to pass, provided the machines were not manipulated. That we didn't know. The only way to make sure that they weren't manipulated was to do an exit poll. That was the only way to do it, so that they know that we would be checking. So they couldn't come out and go, oh, you lost 48-52. No. We said, we're going to do an exit poll because we know that 63% of the voters absolutely 100% want it. We knew that. So that's why we were trying to do exit polls. But the State Board of Election Commissioners didn't like it. They didn't like anything to do with it. The AAC and the Association of County Clerks, they don't want to have anything to do with it. And Kim Hammer was leading the charge along with the handpicked Secretary of State, Cole Jester. They didn't want it. And Cole Jester basically had already said, well, they're guilty. They're guilty. He was telling, and Will can talk about that, but he basically had already made up his mind before they had their final hearing, which was in August of this year. Well, it turns out that in August, a whole bunch of people showed up, and they reversed them. They backed up, reversed themselves, and didn't kick them out. Didn't kick them out, but basically gave them a letter of reprimand for saving their county money. Okay, which is that's what they did, saved their county money and had 100% hand count, and they got a reprimand. They should have been given an award and pats on the back. They should have been treated like heroes because they just absolutely disproved all the propaganda that you've heard over and over and over again. Now, on my case there in Independence County, I just want to let you know, I can't talk about the details of it, but I can give you an analogy. And I think this would be something that everybody in Arkansas can relate to. Those of us who like to fish. I don't know if you like to fish or not, but imagine, we see a lot of people who've got big old ponds and, they stock them a lot of times with catfish and things like that. And in Arkansas, it's very normal to want to say, hey, I'd like to fish in that pond. And you stop at somebody's house and say, hey, would you mind if I fish, or do you allow that? Can I fish in your pond? And the guy at the door says, oh yeah, you can fish. No problem. Go ahead. There's some catfish out there, I think, and so you go out to the pond and you're fishing. And 2 hours later, somebody else comes up and says, what are you doing on my property fishing in my pond? And you say, sir, I stopped at the house and the guy there told me I could fish here. And he says, well, that's my cousin and he doesn't have the right to tell you that. So you can't fish in my pond, and he's taking pictures of you or whatever and recording. And you go, hey, man, I tried. I thought I was getting, the owner. He acted like he was, but I'll leave. No problem. Yeah. I'll leave. So you leave, right? Right? And then a year later, they charge you with trespassing. They go, here's a video that shows you on that property. You were there. Okay, you were trespassing. That's exactly the best analogy I can give. And it makes no sense unless you're after a certain person. If you're after a certain person, then it makes sense. But no one would waste their time on this. Nobody. No one has ever been arrested for this particular crime. Nobody.
Before I was JP, I worked in, I guess it was 2020. I worked the polls. In fact, I was a poll supervisor at a place. And, we were very aware of it's pretty common knowledge of most people are aware of the 100-foot rule. But if you did see somebody, you immediately take care of that situation. You don't sit there and talk about, oh, they're out there and you don't say anything to them. That doesn't happen unless you're trying to set them up. But, the RPA, the Republican Party of Arkansas, and the establishment, basically the state officials, elected officials that are the executive officials, governor, lieutenant governor, they have all been doing everything they can. I was involved with the RPA, the Saline County and the second district, voting all to close the primaries and all that. And they're so adamantly against it. I mean, I'm talking viciously against it. And I did not understand that, because closed primaries and then raising the price to run. And I know you guys have your opinions on that. That is just totally bogus. There's no way they can justify that. They say so because they spend the money to help the candidates. That's BS. That's untrue.
What it looks like is that Arkansas has a poll tax, and this poll tax is to keep people out of the elections. In Arkansas, the Republican primary is the election. That's where our leaders are chosen. It's that Republican primary, because we are a solid red state when it comes to our voters. But what the Republican Party of Arkansas has been doing is trying to squash dissent and keep out competition. They're not wanting people coming in and messing up what they have created for themselves. And what they've got is a little power cabal. In this little cabal in Arkansas, the Chenal septic tank, what they're doing is they're taking all of the tools that they have, bringing them together, and then punishing anyone who's not in that circle. And if you want to be in that circle, you got to agree that you want voting machines. You got to agree that you won't be going and supporting certain Republican committees. You're going to have to agree that Maybe you're going to push for a prison where nobody wants that prison. You're going to have to be okay with the high filing fees. You're going to have to be okay with open primaries. These are the things that if you don't do that, you are silenced, excluded, and even banned in our party. Again, Saline County had their whole committee dissolved. We had Lori Justice kicked out for retroactively for a rule that they created. Barry Eggers in Craighead County kicked out. So we just constantly get people. Jennifer Lancaster kicked out for 20 years. You have over and over and over people getting squashed by the Republican Party of Arkansas. We put out a press release where I said, I am ashamed to be a Republican in the state of Arkansas right now because they're doing what we were angry at the Democrats for doing from 2021 to 2024. They're doing these same tactics with the lawfare, with the pressure from Little Rock, with using the weight of the government to come after those that they don't like. Again, we have, Kim Hammer and David Rico Ray doing this JPRC committee, and they're calling in notaries, 80-year-old women from a mountain home who were trying to do hand counts. They're calling them in just to make them look bad, to beat them up, and to scare them with the weight of the government, threatening to call the AG and press charges. This has been over and over and over. And as Conrad went through the whole thing, there's one central story. The Little Rock Republicans are squashing anybody in the paper ballot movement with the weight of the government and the weight of the Republican Party. They've decided that the county committees, the districts, none of those mean anything anymore. They overrode them with their rules committee. So they're just doing everything they can to hold on to this power. And that, they say power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And we are seeing that absolute power by certain people in Little Rock. And that's why I said this election, when you go to vote for the governor or AG or secretary of state, state rep, state senate, vote against anyone who has a title. If you see a title next to their name, vote for their opponent in the Republican primary. That's how we're going to make a difference. When we start removing people from that cabal, when we remove people from that cabal, then the power structure will rotate. So that's why, we need to get rid of the David Rays of the world and the Kim Hammers of the world and the Tim Griffins of the world, or Letitia James, as we like to say. Tim Griffin is Letitia James because he's doing the exact same thing they did to President Trump. Take some kind of weird rule that nobody's ever heard of, twist it, apply it to someone that you would not apply it to if they didn't have a certain name, and then try to justify it while you yourself are under ethics investigations and probably in trouble for financial crimes. So these are the problems we have in Arkansas.
Yeah, what most people don't realize is the punishment for this crime. You know what the punishment is for class A felony? I mean, misdemeanor?
Not exactly. I don't know. What is it?
You can never run for public office again in your life.
Ain't that to me?
So now you want to know when the timing comes in? Is that, they don't want me getting in a race. As they want to make sure that I never get in a race. You can, and that is what is key here. A whole year, what were you doing? Do you remember everything you did on the day, election day, or almost a year ago? Most people do not. They don't remember. And so, but it's a year later. It is ridiculous. They'll probably spend close to $150,000 on this case.
I don't want to spend my tax dollars to prosecute you. I'm not interested in that. So, and a lot of people.
Well, that's what they're going to spend. And then I will tell you, the people of Independence County, when I went up there last Wednesday to turn myself in, what they don't realize, or they probably didn't realize, is Baseless my hometown. That's where I went to high school. That's where I played football. That's where, I grew up. And so my dad was an Arkansas State criminal investigator and had 9 counties, and that's where we lived. And so I just think that they just completely misjudged this. The people up there, in my opinion, the sheriff, super nice, super professional. They didn't want to have anything to do with this. They saw exactly what this was. They weren't about to take my mugshot. They didn't. you know, they didn't even look shot. They didn't put me in handcuffs. They didn't. I felt gypped. I really didn't get the full treatment, but but they were very, very nice, very, very professional, and of course we were able to also make a plea, which is of course not guilty, and we moved on from there. And but I will tell you, when all the facts come out, which they will very soon, when the facts come out, people are going to look at this and go, you know, this is a malicious prosecution. This is a politically motivated prosecution. It was absolutely clear. We know it. We know that it is. And soon everybody for sure will know. But Tim Griffin tried to defend himself because he is getting hammered. Not Kim hammered, but he's getting hammered all over social media for doing this. Will, do we got that?
We got a clip on that.
Well, I was going to say also his phone has been lighting up because, you know, he makes his cell phone number public. And so people have been texting him and they've been sharing screenshots where he has a copy and paste message that sends everyone back to his press release. And so he says, you know, here it is. You have the facts. This is not politically motivated. We would have gone after anybody else for the same thing. Went to our
never have.
Yeah, never have. But the AG should never be going after misdemeanors anyway. But so he had a copy and paste text message he was sending everyone, but apparently people weren't buying that. And then you had MAGA World come down on him, the Gateway Pundit, Joe Hoff, Sidney Powell, General Flynn, all these people come down on him. So then he hopped on the radio with Dave Ellswick to try to explain himself on Friday. And that's the clip you have.
I mean, they're acting like when they impeached Trump, Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi, and that's the kind of crap they pull, you know, just ridiculous, money wasting. That's what really makes me mad. Money wasting prosecutions, you know, just wasting our money. It's not their money they're using.
You know, I think, it is mind-boggling. Anybody who has seen the facts of this, even reading the ridiculous affidavits. My son is a D.C. Policeman. He's a detective in D.C. And he looked at this and he said, "Dad, this is just," he said, "I would be laughed out of our prosecutor's office if I had brought them something like that." He said, "It's just ridiculous." He said, "I can't believe that they would even allow them to move forward 1 second after reading this. So why would Tim Griffin allow this to go through?" He said either he's being forced to, or he doesn't know what the heck is going on. One of the two. Because anybody with common sense, he said, if you read that, he said, you know, it reads like, he said, look, he said, it looks like a ninth grader wrote it, number one, the report itself. He said, you got stuff based on hearsay information inside the affidavit and the arrest warrant. It's crazy, but that's what they've got. So anyway, go ahead if you want to play it.
Can't hear you again. You're muted.
Yeah, Kevin, you're muted.
Yeah, Kevin, you're muted.
Kevin.
I'm unmuted now.
There you are.
I'm just trying to get to.
Let's start off with the 800-pound
Y'all hear that?
gorilla.
This is Dave Ellswick and AG Tim Letitia James Griffin.
I know you can't litigate the case on the air, so I won't ask you to, but I will ask you to explain what's going on.
Sure. Well, that case is a case that we did not seek, we did not ask for. It's a case that was referred to my office. Excuse me for that. Referred to my office by the State Board of Election Commissioners and went directly the way any other case would to my career prosecutors, career investigators. It would have been no different if the name was John Smith or Susie Johnson. And, you know, I think the affidavits, which are public, you could take a look at those. Think you've seen those. They tell you about all I can say about the case. I will tell you this definitively: 99% of what I have seen or what people have said to me about this case is false.
Okay.
I mean, it's just completely. Most of the people who have reached out to me had no idea the details that are in the affidavit. And one thing I can say definitively: most of what I saw in the public discussion was about electioneering and whether it was an exit poll and whether an exit poll was this or that. Won't get into all that, but this case doesn't involve, the charges don't involve electioneering. So that was a red herring. That's like you asking me, what's better, hamburger or a chicken sandwich? And I start talking about mangoes. I mean, it had nothing to do with the charges. So I really can't say any more than that. But look, I'm not new to your show. I'm not new to Arkansans. I have served for a long time, and people have gotten to know me, and I've always been fair, and I'm the same guy, and that's all I can say.
Okay. All right. So can you tell us when you think this will come up and the court proceedings will start?
I don't know. But as it develops, I guarantee you Dave Ellswick will have the latest and greatest.
There you have it.
That just didn't cut it. I mean, that was like, I didn't get it. I didn't understand what he's talking about, to be honest. I don't get it has nothing to do with electioneering, but he can't say what it's got to do with it. I mean, that doesn't.
Hey, Kevin, I sent you the press release from the Attorney General. Do you have it to bring up?
I do. Give me 1 second.
Because, well, while he is saying, for one, this was dropped in my lap, I didn't want to pursue this. For two, it wasn't me, it was my investigators, it was prosecutors, it wasn't me. While he's doing all that, he's also then claiming that he doesn't know why people keep talking about electioneering or why they keep talking about exit polling. Well,
Isn't he the bottom line? Isn't he the bottom line? I mean, he's the Attorney General. He can say this is not. We're not doing this. It's not.
That's right. He has discretion on these cases. But Kevin, go up just a little bit. Scroll the other way. Right. This is about Tim Griffin. He has more about him than the case. If you go up just a little bit more, right here. That's it. Right in the first, it says Arkansas Code prohibits electioneering in the building 100 feet away. That's right there in his. And then it says in a 100-foot area, the evidence includes video of men conducting exit polling. That's his own press release. So either somebody else wrote this press release, released it, and he has never seen it, or he's just lying and he's trying to deflect why the absurdness of this charge against Conrad, and he's trying to get himself out of it. But here it mentions the word exit polling, and it talks about electioneering as the law, and he's trying to pretend like he doesn't know why people keep mentioning those two things. Well, when you read that, as all of the media did, that's what they took away from it. The media headlines.
They're saying that why they arrested him. Yeah.
Yeah, men charged with electioneering, men charged with electioneering for exit polling. All the headlines are about that because this is what his own press release said. It's what his social media post said. And so either he is disconnected from this office and not running it, and he's just the figurehead name on it, or he's lying to the people of Arkansas, and neither of them are good when it comes in terms to being leadership. Well, a leader.
You're right. Yeah, and I'm going to talk about the leadership thing in just a second, because as an Army officer, I expected more out of him, especially when it comes to integrity. What he's done now, I've lost all respect for Tim Griffin. He needs to resign immediately. Right now, he needs to resign because he has crossed the line. He has, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, I don't care, but he has shown that he has no integrity with this. particularly with this interview. But I wanted to read a couple of headlines, just so you know. In the
Sure.
Batesville Guard, the paper they have up there, it says, the headline, it says, paper ballot advocate pleads not guilty to electioneering misdemeanor. Electioneering misdemeanor. Okay, that's one. The other one is the Gateway Pundit. Lawfare persists. Decorated Army colonel faces criminal charges in Arkansas for electioneering and conducting an exit poll. Mr. Griffin. A KARN news article. Same thing for election laws violation. It talks about exit polling. Northeast Arkansas report. Same thing. Violation of election law, and it says electioneering in this one as well. And then let's see what else. White River, I guess news article is what it is. It says video leads to election law charges against two Independence County people. This is just it's all of them. Paper ballot.
So
all of them are misdemeanor for election charge, electioneering, and exit polling. So I don't know what he's talking about. He's completely clueless on what's going on in this story.
He's saying on Dave Ellswick that you weren't arrested. This is what I got out of it as being just someone listening, that you did not get arrested for electioneering or anything that people are asking about, even the exit polling or anything. But he doesn't say what you got arrested for. And I'm not going to ask because this is all still going on, but I'm sure
it's in the affidavit. It's in the affidavit. I mean, you can read the affidavit.
But then he just lied or doesn't even know what's going on. So that's not good at all.
Let me tell you, in my time in the military, of course, I came in under Reagan as a brand new second lieutenant. Very conservative people came in, and the rules to be an officer, how you had to live your life, and the way that you conducted yourself, throughout your life, whether it was private or on active duty or whatever, 24/7, you're an officer. But integrity is the most important thing, because if you don't have integrity, nobody can trust you. Nobody can rely upon your decision-making process to be fair. What Tim Griffin has done is he has washed away his integrity. He has sold it out for some reason. I know that I've always given him the benefit of the doubt because of his military service. I always have. The fact that he turned us down for the statewide initiative that I talked about earlier, that bothered me. I thought he was wrong, but I didn't think that he did it because for political gain. Right. I thought he did it because either he got bad advice, but I don't think it was an integrity issue. This is an integrity issue. Without question, this is an integrity issue. And so this is where I separate from him, because at this point, it tells me that he is somehow putting his political gain or interest above integrity. And that is wrong, and that would never be accepted. I think he should immediately resign from the National Guard because he's not fit to be an officer, and I think he needs to immediately resign as Attorney General. That is my opinion, and I'm going to stick to it because I'm telling you, when the facts come out, everybody's going to look at him completely differently if they already don't now. But it is, I don't know, I don't have the words for it. But he's proven to be somebody that I never thought he would be, but he is. So that's it.
Yeah, and as far as the RPA, they're all together on this, and I've watched them. They've made it obvious they don't want the common people to have a voice, realistically. They say they do, of course, but they do not want. They want to have their own. It's being disturbed. Their playground's being disturbed, and since Trump, they say they're big Trump backers. I don't buy that. They're Trump backers because they have to be right now. If they're not going to get nothing. So
it's a big old club, and you ain't in it.
Yeah, and they're basically, to me, they're just the old blue dog Democrats that just want to keep the good old boy. It's your turn to be governor. It's your turn to be lieutenant governor. Hey, I'll put you over here at land commissioner, and everybody knows what I'm talking. You work your way up. You're a young man, and everybody knows what I'm talking about that. You got Cole Jester running. What he's going to be land commissioner, which I'm going to put my support against Christian Olson, who actually has experience in being in the land commission office. Whereas, you know, that's just going to be a stepping stone for Cole Jester because they're grooming him, I think. These are all my opinions. I don't have proof of it, but I think everybody can see what the RPA and the upper state government is trying to do. They're trying to keep us in a purple situation, play, you know, they can pay to play. And then another thing, what we've gone to run for governor, it's gone from what, $15,000 to $40,000. Same with let's see, the House, they already did that back in 22, correct? And made it from $15,000 to $30,000 to run. Why? Why do you want to do that? And everybody knows, anybody knows anything about running for office, all these guys in office, they got money left over. They're going to get money. But if I run, I got to go out and earn money. You know, like we got a lot of candidates that they don't want to see in there. You know, who is the guy that ran? There was a state senator that ran for U.S. Senate last time. Is it Clint Penzo?
Yeah, Clint Penzo up in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't want it. You know, they were adamant against him, because he's a pretty conservative guy, senator and everything. So they just throw everything in the book.
What they're doing right now, though, is they are pricing out people. And there are a couple of reasons they can do that. But one, as a new candidate, it's an incumbent protection program. Because to run as office, a lot of people won't donate to you until you file and that you're on the ticket. So now you have to raise money before you can get on the ticket, like $30,000, $40,000.
Huge.
And then when you're on the ticket, you're already an underdog, but you just put almost, 30 or underdog money just into filing. And then you still got to keep raising to have any shot against the incumbent in a short period of time, because now you file in November and you run in, the election starts in February. So you have a short period of time to have to raise all the money, because you can't raise it before you file, because donors don't give until you are on the ballot. And It's just a cycle. But the other reason that they can have it that high is that they keep people out. Maybe they're nefarious people that have to pay to rig an election. It's a lot easier if you just price out people from being able to get on the ballot. Then you always know your people are going to win, and you don't have to go through any extra steps or extra hoops. They just have no competition.
Yep. And I'd like to bring one other thing here, and that is something that people need to realize, and that is the punishment that they're trying to put me through. The same thing for the people in Searcy County, when the punishment, really is the process that you have to go through. And they know that. Yeah. They know that I got to spend a lot of money on attorneys. They know that I'm going to have to spend a lot of my time worrying about this or addressing this issue. They know that it's embarrassing as a military officer to have to be arrested. I've never been arrested in my life. I'm 65 years old. This is the punishment that you get for standing up to the establishment. Well, I'm going to take it. No problem. I'm going to wear this as a badge of honor, because I'm doing the right thing for the people of Arkansas and for the future of our children and grandchildren. So this is what is important. And we're not going to take, our mind, we're not going to get away from our goal. And our goal is to get rid of these machines. And the people don't really realize that fair elections are the most important thing to our, as far as I'm concerned, to our republic that we can have. You've got to be able to know that the people you're voting for are in fact the people that get elected, the ones that you voted for, not someone selecting them. And that's what we believe is happening across the country. So anyway, Will and I have been working hard on doing that. We will continue. This is a little bump in the road, and it has backfired on them tremendously. And I want a full apology. We will be completely exonerated. I want a full apology, and it may go even further than that, because this is a malicious prosecution. Everybody can see that. And here's one example I'll give you. Remember the reporter that was standing in front of the riots with the George Floyd riots, and it was burning in the background. The houses were burning to the ground. And what did he say? Or it was on the chyron, peaceful protest. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. everybody sees it wasn't a peaceful protest. And it's the same thing here. People are seeing this is. Oh, yeah, here it is. I printed that off. Can you see that?
Yeah.
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 It's a peaceful protest. You know,
yeah.
Yeah, that's what's happening here, and people understand what's going on. And Tim Griffin will continue to lie and say things that don't make sense in order to get people to simply ignore what they see. He will say this isn't about electioneering, and if people don't go and look at it, they'll just believe what he says, just like these other people will believe because they want to believe. And so we're not going to let that happen. We're going to make sure everybody knows exactly what happened here and exactly what they're doing to a fellow citizen. Never mind the fact that I'm retired military, to a fellow citizen. This is wrong. Another Republican. It's wrong.
And we had Brian Norris on the show not long ago. And I want to say something about Senator Hammer. If anybody followed the legislation this year, he did everything he did a pretty good job of it, but one thing he did not get through, and thank God he didn't, was he had this, and I think you guys remember it, he wanted to create this little agency that basically was definitely a lawfare agency that we were all going to have to pay for because you're going to have
it was a police force. It was an armed police force Gestapo force.
Situation of, well, to enforce things they didn't like. And I couldn't believe, and here's the man running for Secretary of State, already announced it, and says, and this is going to be a Secretary of State office, a State Department office, a State Department, and blatantly just saying, hey, before I get in office, I want to have this law enforcement agency that can just go down and take care of anybody that's trying to basically do petitions or discuss. Very dictatorial to me, very, very scary. Now, thankfully, it didn't get through committee, thankfully, but he did a lot of other damage. He's made it almost impossible. I'm gonna say that because I've collected signatures before. I mean, people don't want to hear all this stuff you're going to have to do now. I mean, you're going to have to question them about everything in the world, and that was just to stop these kind of things going before the public. So he has obviously set everything up. Now, I'm totally supporting Brian Norris. He is for paper ballots, and he's a good man, decorated veteran like you. I believe he's a first sergeant. And he is the guy. I mean, we're going to have to get more people like that. And I'm going to put a shout out to Randy Sams, who's running for state senate in District 16. He has come out, or he's coming out, and I believe he's going to come out and say he is for paper ballots, and he supports you and your paper ballot, situation. So we got to get more people in there. Until we get people in these state offices, things are not going to change.
I agree. I agree. And
it's going to take time.
Yeah, and we believe that the best way to do that is to have a fair, open, transparent primary, and we believe the only way to have that is through paper ballots that are hand marked and hand counted, with a strict chain of custody to make sure that there is no malfeasance. We can easily do that. Searcy County has proved that, and we know that can be done in every county in Arkansas. You got to ask yourself, why is it that the establishment doesn't want it? It is illogical that they don't want it. It's illogical that they don't want a closed primary. It makes no sense. Okay, and when we tell people outside of Arkansas, in D.C. or wherever we're at, that we have open primaries, they go, it's crazy. And when we tell them the Trump mandate, right? The Trump said, hey, we want to have paper ballots, and we tell them, and I say, there's nobody in Arkansas. We don't have one legislator, not one, that's going to stand up and say, I'm for it. But I will tell you something. I've had legislators call me personally and say, we can't say anything. If we do, we're not going to get a committee. If we're not going to get a committee, and if I got a business, they're going to make sure they're going to try to bankrupt me. And so I can't. And so that's it.
Very big. Yeah.
And they control the people there. That's what is happening right now. And so, we're ruled. I believe we're ruled. We're not represented. We're ruled. They tell you exactly what you're going to do, and they're going to make sure you have to follow that. And if they give the illusion that you have a choice, oh, you can get paper ballots. If any county can get paper ballots, no. They'll make sure they close off all doors. And then if they're successful, like we were in Independence County, then what they're going to do is change the laws. And just like you just said, the laws that they passed make it almost impossible for a county to do a countywide referendum. And think about that now. If you want to pass a referendum saying that, dogs have got to have leashes, if you're in a city park somewhere, well, you can't do that now. You're not going to be able to do that. It's going to be almost impossible. And the financial cost now will be triple or quadruple what it would have been. So you're not going to be able to do that. So they've effectively shut off the voice of the people at the county level. This is super wrong, and we got to fix it.
Yeah. Well,
Speaking of it, take Connor real quick. Hey, I got something. I got a couple
Sure.
comments in the Facebook the couple comments in the comments that people want to ask you real quick. So I got Sandy Pergan Childers asking, does Washington know about this, and what can we do about it?
I don't think Washington, what we work on in Washington is trying to do an overall law that trying to get through Congress that would get rid of the machines. We've worked with people in the Trump administration as well, trying to help craft different executive orders. But there was an executive order that came out back in March, and the states are ignoring it. Arkansas is ignoring it. That executive order says you cannot use machines, with barcodes on them. We do that here. There are a lot of people in MAGA world, like General Flynn, Kerry Lake, Sidney Powell. They all know what we're trying to do here. They know about Arkansas, but I don't think people in the White House yet do. I don't know that they're going to be able to have influence. But what they are seeing is that we have a governor that always goes back for a photo op whenever there's a problem, and you see her in MAGA world. They're looking at her a little bit differently now, because they're saying, well, hold on a second. How can you be prosecuting this colonel down there who's just trying to get paper ballots, something that President Trump wants, has been saying he's wanted for several years? And that is why you're going after all of these people. Why are you doing that? Where's the statement from Sarah Huckabee Sanders about paper ballots or machines? Where's the statement? Nobody's asking her. That's why I love your program, what you're doing here. You're getting the message out, because the regular newspaper, the dim guys won't do it. They're not asking the hard questions. Why not? Why aren't they? That's news, but they're not.
It's awful suspicious when you're that adamant against something like that. You would think we're trying to introduce communism or something,
It's an illogical response. And it can only be because they're told to have that. They're told. And I don't know who it is, but we intend to find out. So we'll see.
When I ran for JP, I was going to say, I knocked on 1,000 doors and talked to many, many people. And one of my questions, because, when I ran on supporting paper ballots, and even though it's not jobbing in Saline County. It's just one against a bunch. But I asked people, I would just ask them how they felt about machines, how they felt about paper ballots. And they would say 60%. I'm not going to say everybody. There's some people, I'll be honest, some people don't care because don't really follow it. And some of the things the machines are fine. I'd say that the majority for sure say they want to get rid of machines. And that's what matters, majority. But I would say 60 to 70% of the people you talk to, and these are all Republicans. To be honest, I didn't bother to go to Democrat doors because I know what I'm going to get. Except the ones that say, oh, yeah, my name's on the Republican register, but I voted Republican in the primary, but I'm a Democrat. And I said, okay. They said, I just wanted to vote against the Republican. Well, there's your case for closed, primaries right there, because
Yeah.
that happens. But they don't want that because they're telling people, I know good and well, I know that possibly somebody that they don't want in there, a person that's an outsider, they'll get somebody over here because the Democrats have nobody to run against. They have nobody to vote for. They have one person running, if anybody, and they'll tell them, "Well, go over here and vote for, you'd rather have me than that MAGA guy." So that allows them to do it without even being a Republican.
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
Well, I would like to plug our site, avii.org.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'd like for people to be able to go there. We have a lot of great information if you want to educate yourself on the paper ballot movement, the reason the machines have to go. It's a great resource for you, avii.org. You can follow me on X at Colonel Reynolds. And so I encourage you to do that. There'll be a lot more things that will be coming up in the future.
Yeah.
But believe you me on this, on this, and also what's happening in Arkansas and DC, and we'll try to get that out there to people. I just wanted to get that out real quick.
And when it comes to Saline County, man, you guys really got to keep fighting. You guys had the largest conservative group in the state, and you guys are doing big things, and you can't give up. We got to get. I know there's some infighting going on in the county right now. We're gonna have to come together if we want to make a big difference. But one thing I can say in that state senate race, if Kim Hammer's backing someone, you vote for the opposite person. That's what I'm going to say.
I'm going to tell you, Randy Sams, people like that is who you need in there, because he is a strong conservative, and he is definitely against what's happening to Conrad, and he is definitely for paper ballots. And the same with him and Brian Norris are both on the same page. I can't speak for any other candidates for sure, because I don't want to say when I don't know for sure. But a lot of them that are not incumbents, if we can get them in there, it's a start. Does it fix it? No, but you got to start somewhere, because the ones that are for it in there are afraid to say anything. So or no, it's not going to do any good. They're not going to. If you bring something up, good and well, it's not going to happen. It's going to make it look like there's no support. But
well, we know there's support.
Oh, there is. Yes.
There's 73% of the Republicans in this state want paper ballots. We know that for a fact. And so in the Republican world, there is support. The problem is that the people who are in office are being manipulated or pressured not to support it, which means they're not supporting the people that they're supposed to represent. That's what we just said. We're being ruled and we're not being represented.
That's right. Yep. So we got to get our county, we're going to get our state back, counties back. We got to be a true red state. We're not a true red state, and I know there's a lot of states in the union that are that way, but you got to start somewhere. And
I'm going to tell you, we're going to be working hard. Will and I will continue to work. Again, we appreciate your program. We appreciate what you're doing here. Keep up the fight because it's important. I think that we're going to win without question nationwide. As we told the president back in February, our state legislators have been captured by these voting machine companies, and it appears that we can't push strings from the bottom. The only way to change this nationwide is from the top, and he knows that. So hopefully we'll be getting some good news before too long here to be able to change it before the primary. But I really enjoy being on your program. I really thank you for that.
I appreciate you guys coming on. I mean, I've talked to you many times before in the past, and I appreciate you coming on. And I just tell the audience, you got to pay attention to who's running for these offices. You got to pay attention, and you got to pay attention to things like this, because we're in a changing time in this country, and it's going to happen. It's just there's a lot of fighting going on. With
Kevin's internet went down.
But,
He's trying to get.
We lost Kevin a little bit.
We lost Kevin.
But yeah, in that vein, people like
Lost
Brian Norris need support, and his website is BRYAN Norris NORRIS.org. BrianNorris.org. He's taking donations right now. He's got to pay, I think, $12,000 to get on the ballot for his race, but he's having good reception everywhere he goes. So, keep supporting Brian.
Well, hopefully we're not lost. He lost his internet, so hopefully
we're still live and we're still streaming, so we're good.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. We'll talk again. We'll have you back on anytime you want to come on. And there's going to be, like I said, new news later on because this stuff's just getting started.
That's it. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you.
Bless you all.
Saline County is out.